What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video, and in today's video we are going to be discussing my predictions for the best tanks in Mythic Plus for Shadowlands Patch 9.1. Now, disclaimer, this is just my opinions, and I obviously know that every single tank is capable of completing a Mythic Plus dungeon up to like a plus 20, a plus 21, a plus 22. Many tanks have done that, many great players have done that, but I think it'd be really fun just if I kind of predicted and then I see at the end of the patch where my predictions kind of laid, right? I think it'd be a really awesome idea. So we're going to start out with the Prot Warrior. Now, in my opinion, the Prot Warrior is going to be in the great tier. As we saw at the end of 9.0, Prot Warrior began to gain a little bit of attraction. We saw big streamers like Nerf Tank, Ellesmere's group and stuff like that play Prot Warrior in a couple dungeons because it brought a lot of good survivability. With the big change to the Prot Warrior Legendary, where they could charge in with shield block, they would intervene and get shield block and things like that. It gave them almost 100% uptime on shield block, which made them virtually unkillable to physical damage. They couldn't die to physical damage and only magic damage. And for the magic damage, they did have Spell Reflect for a lot of those abilities. So their survivability was insane. It was out of this world, and as a result, Prot Warrior's great. They haven't received any major nerfs. They got that 10% buff in 9.0.5 that increased their survivability, so they're just doing great. They also just do good damage as well, right? They have good utility. They bring Battle Shout, Commanding Shout. They bring a lot of good survivability perks. So honestly, they're just going to be great. There's nothing else to say about it, right? They didn't get nerfed mega hard at all, and they're just going to be great going into 9.1. And the next tank is going to be Prot Paladin. In my opinion, Prot Paladin is going to be fine. So there has been a lot of talk about Prot Paladin being a really bad tank. In my opinion, I've talked about it as well. I mean that, I'd rather bring a Rep Paladin because at least it does. Rep Paladin has more survivability, right? Prot Paladin has struggled with its survivability in Shadowlands so far. And they did try and fix that with the 10% nerf that they gave to all tanks, but they gave it to all tanks, right? So they kind of kept all tanks except Vengeance Demon Hunter. So they kind of kept all the tanks in an even category, right? They just buffed them all, right? But they didn't really change where they stacked. So Prot Paladin's still one of the lower tanks in terms of survivability. But what Prot Paladin does is it brings really good damage and other utility for healing. It brings bop and things like that. So in my opinion, Prot Paladin is actually the best tank to use to go for something like KSM, right? If you're a player that plays solo, you use Prot Paladin to get to KSM, right? Because you do great damage, you do good healing, you have good utility like lay on hands and bop to save your party because obviously it's a pug, so things are going to go wrong, and you have pretty good survivability. There's nothing else you would want as a tank, right? And especially when you're doing for KSM. But if you are going for like world first keys, I've never went for a world first key, but if you're going for world first keys or pushing keys, Prot Paladin's gonna begin to show its weaknesses, which is survivability. It doesn't have a lot of it. Now, Brewmaster, my favorite tank spec, I'm gonna be putting it in the good tier. Now, you guys probably would think I'd put in the awesome tier because it's Brewmaster, but in my opinion, Brewmaster is gonna be good. I think that it still has a lot of the struggles that it had in 9.0 in dungeons, which is magic damage. A lot of the dungeons in Shadowlands do a large amount of magic damage. There's a lot of casting mobs in the other side, Halls of Atonement, Sanguine Depths. They just truck Brewmasters, and they didn't get that filled in and fixed for 9.1. So the hope is that the new Tormented Affix and the Anima powers that come with it, Brewmaster can hopefully pick up some powers that help their magic damage intake, and so they take a lot less of it. Now, another struggle Brewmaster has is it requires a lot of healing. Now, as we saw with the meta, the tank that has the best survivability arguably is the best tank because, and the own self-healing is the best tank because of the fact that the healer then can do damage for the higher keys. We saw it with the Great Push, with Guardian Druid, which I'll talk about later. So that's why Brewmaster stays a little bit lower because it does require your healer to actually pay attention to you. Now, Vengeance Demon Hunter, in my opinion, is going to be great. I think it's going to be better than Prot Paladin. Not Prot Paladin. Obviously, it's going to be better than Prot Paladin, but it's going to be better than Prot Warrior. You know, it didn't receive any major buffs. It kind of got nerfed with the Pelagos nerf, similar to Brewmaster and all the other Kyrian tanks. Pelagos got its mastery removed. Not removed, but lowered. So it kind of got nerfed there, but it did get another buff in its soulbind, in another soulbind for the Kyrian tree that I think will be taken by a lot of Vengeance Demon Hunters. That being said, it's still in basically the exact same place that it was in 9.0. It got a little bit of nerfs to Elysian Decree, but they didn't really change much about it, right? So I think it's still going to be great. It brings the magic damage debuff, which is awesome. It has good kiting. It has good survivability. It has good self-healing. It's simple. It's just going to be a great spec, right? Blood Death Knight is the iffy one, right? Blood Death Knight is known to get better as an expansion goes on, but in the second patch, you know, it doesn't get the required amount of secondaries to make it virtually unkillable. And in a great player's hands, Blood Death Knight can literally stay alive through anything. But when you get into the one-shot category, Blood Death Knight does begin to drop a little bit. Its damage is okay. It just struggles with survivability in Mythic Plus, right? Like, if you can't go into a new pack with Bone Shield stacks up, you have a very high chance of dying, and it sucks that way. So Blizzard had tried to implement some changes into that with Dancing Rune Weapon being buffed. When you use it, it gives you Bone Shield stacks right away. So hopefully things like that might make it good, but in my opinion, I think it's still going to be below Prot Warrior and Vengeance Demon Hunter. It's going to be on the same line with Brewmaster because it still has its weaknesses there, and they're not, you know, they didn't get really fixed. But hopefully the new Tormented Anima powers do shore up those weaknesses. Now the last tank spec is Guardian Druid. We knew where it was going. It was going in awesome. As we saw with the MDI, Guardian Druid is unkillable. Blizzard didn't do anything to Guardian Druid from the the Great Push to now. It's in the same spot. It gained so much popularity at the end of 9.0 that I think that a large amount of people are actually going to turn into Guardian Druid players. I already have an alt Guardian Druid on the ready to go because I personally know it's going to be what I use to push keys with in the end, because I think Brewmaster is going to struggle with that. So I think Guardian Druid is fantastic. Incarnation with the Thrash Legendary, you're unkillable. Iron First Axe, you take literally no damage from physical damage. Magic damage, you have things like Barkskin, you have Survival Instincts, like you have so many defensives. Guardian Druid is so tanky. On top of that, it does really good damage. If your Guardian Druid can Owl Weave, go into Moonkin form and cast Convoke or cast a Star Surge or whatever, you know, it's doing great damage. So in my opinion, I think Guardian Druid is what most World First players are going to play in keys. And I think that you're going to see a lot of them. I think you're going to see a lot of groups require Guardian Druids when they're pushing keys at the beginning because they don't die. They literally can't die. Now, that being said, I did say the disclaimer. I think all the tank specs are going to be fine. Every single tank spec can get KSM. Every single tank spec can probably go to plus 20 keys. It's that simple. This is just where I think they're going to rank at the end of the season in terms of what the community thought based on where they were, based on what they saw in the Mythic Plus, by going through Mythic Plus. So if you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Go follow my Twitch stream. The link will be in the description below. And if you like this type of video, let me know and I can create some more. But that is all, and I'll see you in the next one. Have a good night.